Hey guys, and welcome to episode 12 of the Blockchain Bandits Podcast. Today you're here with me, Jeff.
Myself, Courtney.
And me, Andy. I'm back.
Yeah, Andy's back. We had a talk and we decided it would be okay for him to come back if he said please.
Hey.
So yeah, he came back, he said please, and we let him back. So how was your ski trip, Andy?
I fell a lot. I fell so many times, but it was a great experience. I'll definitely go again. It's not as cold as you think. You'll be surprised. But yeah, it was nice. It was nice.
Basically, it was rubbish. So anyway, he's glad to be back here in England because it's way better doing a podcast. Yeah. And now we're going to end up talking about all the great stuff that happened in cryptocurrencies and blockchain tech this week. One of them being the coincheck hack. Yeah, happy days. We're talking about Theresa May speaking at Davos about cryptocurrencies and what that what effect that may have. Also, we'll be talking about the Wwess cryptocurrencies ranking. So basically, they came out with a sheet with loads of cryptocurrencies ranked and stuff. Next, we'll be talking about how to recognize a good white paper and what you should look out for in a white paper, because I know, we always say look at white papers, but you might not know what to look for in a white paper, so we thought we'd help with that. And then we'll be just talking about some cryptocurrencies and ICOs that we like the look of or have looked at. We might not like the look of them, but just our little short opinions on them. So yeah, let's get stuck in. Theresa May was talking about cryptocurrencies at Davos this week, and she said they'll be looking to get some sort of regulation in there because that she was worried, and she was going on about the criminal uses, the general normal FUD narrative that comes out of politicians. But she also was wary of basically keeping Britain a great place for tech startups and tech companies, because obviously it's a big part of the economy, the tech industry, and so stifling cryptocurrencies too much and blockchain tech too much might force people out. So I think that's kind of good news. It's good news, and you got to kind of expect the general FUD narrative, because that's just what these people are going to do. What do you guys think?
Well, I'd suggest that there's most likely hidden agendas when it comes to the government looking into cryptos and potentially them trying to enforce more centralization on them because of various reasons. I think one reason that most likely would be good for the space is actually to clamp down on criminals and people trying to do illegal activities, transactions, etc. via cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, etc. I think it's good that they at least are aware of it. But what they do with it is, again, subjective as whether it's going to be a good or bad thing. And then finally, there was a whole possibility of her linking it to potential activities like terrorism, which, we all are against and we don't want to occur. So, it can be a good thing, I guess.
Personally, I love politics. And but again, I'm one of those people who loves complaining about politicians. And this is one of those moments right now because, here we have a politician, Theresa May, using terrorism and criminals as an excuse to do what they want. However, there are like criminals who are using it to get rid, to launder money and tax evade. But again, there's as many cheats and frauds and criminals in the square mile, and there's even if you want to go to Jersey, it's evasion.
Yeah.
So again, why she's attacking one a market was new and it's upcoming, and in terms of what's going on in the country in terms of Brexit, we're supposed to be a hub, a technology hub to grow, and why be closed-minded to and say this at Davos? It's a bit silly. Really, politicians, what they're really saying is, we're scared about our central bank. We're scared about the Bank of England because this is becoming a problem, and because we don't control this, we're gonna make it. We're gonna say is a problem because of terrorism and criminals, which again, fair enough. They want to keep their hand on power, and the British government have always been pretty
power hungry.
Yes, exactly. Is from many centuries.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what direction we take. Regulations was going to happen.
Yeah.
We did say this. It's not a matter of fact of like if it was going to happen. It was when it was going to happen. So I guess now it might be sooner than later.
Yeah, probably. As it grows, and as it scales, regulation will have to come in tighter, especially as it's finding its way in every single industry now. The cryptocurrency space is and it's going to be everywhere. It's already everywhere. It's at the root of everything already, so it's already in place to be everywhere. It's just a matter of time, and obviously regulations will have to follow, because I mean that's just the structure of the society we're living in at the moment. But yeah, no, but it's exciting. I can't wait to see what happens in the space. Like we said already, 2018 is a big year for cryptos, and another indicator of that is that Wwess coming out with a rating system for cryptocurrencies. So what that involved was they just brought out like a document, and it had a bunch of cryptocurrencies listed. Not all of them, because that would just be impossible. But I think, how many do they have? They had like 100 or something.
Yeah, about 100.
Yeah,
so
and they ranked them on like like a graded scale. So like A+ being the highest, and probably an F being the lowest or something. None of them got an F. I think the lowest was like a D-, and the highest was a B. Was it?
B.
Yeah, Ethereum got a B or B+, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, Ethereum got a B.
Yeah, I think it was probably one of the highest ranked one. Most of them were C's. A lot of people weren't happy with that. I think the Wwess website was getting DOS attacks, so that's when its servers get overloaded by people, because there were so many people unhappy with the ranking system, because a lot of coins got lower rankings than they thought deserved. The majority of them got C's, to be honest, and a few of them got D's and D-, and then there was a few with B's. What their ranking system was based on isn't very clear. And that's one of my problems with it. It's like, if you bring out a ranking system, please tell us what parameters you're measuring these coins by, because then it doesn't really have any weight. Anyone can just slap letters next to a thing and be like, oh, it's an A, it's a B. Like, it doesn't really mean anything. Yeah, that was my main issue with the whole Wwess cryptocurrency thing. But it was interesting to see. I was very intrigued to see how the market, if the market would react to it, and why. And it didn't really, I suppose. But who knows? Maybe it's a delayed reaction or whatever. But it didn't have a react. This is a very volatile market, and if it did I think if the cryptocurrency market was going to react to it, it would have been a lot more violent.
True.
So I don't think it did really.
Yeah, I would just say the same really in terms of that. I think first hearing about it, I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to have a dramatic impact on the market. People like to kind of listen to the information from all over the place, but something that is kind of backed a bit, because there's a bit of history of them being, kind of reputable. It's, it could have a impact on the market depending on what they kind of say about certain cryptocurrencies and ICOs. I guess the biggest fear really is, them pumping some random ICO that is terrible. But there was no obvious kind of, way of seeing that, because a lot of them just got ranked C, really. And some of them that actually are good, like Ethereum, got ranked B. So, yeah, I guess it didn't have so much of an impact as I thought it first would.
Yeah, again, I know that the coins were actually, the ICOs that actually did do well. So, Cardano, Neo, EOS, Ethereum. When this got released, it was a good day for them, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
So like, it'll be interesting to see the other. I think they're going to do monthly reports, monthly ratings. Sorry, or quarterly. I haven't actually found. I haven't subscribed to it because apparently you have to pay and subscribe to work it out. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see the future ones. But we've just managed to get the list. We're actually looking at it right now on Twitter, and
to be honest, I think it's a bit silly that they gave Cardano B, considering it's not been released yet. It's not being used.
That's what I mean.
There's been nothing built on top of it. So it's just
what's it based on?
Yeah, we don't know what it's based on. That's as I was mentioned before. It might just be opinion.
Yeah.
You know, it might just be opinion, and really, there's always going to be opinion in it. Like even what we're saying right now, there's opinion on it. But you know, you got to come with some. If you're going to release a document like this and make people pay for it, you got to have something behind it. You know, or explain what is behind it.
Well, at least you know it's independent, unbiased, accurate, and trusted.
That's just what it says on the sheet. Yeah.
If it's their motto, then
it has to be true. Yeah.
It's got to be true. Gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just you know, there are going to be people that are paying for this, and there are going to be people that are going to be relying on this, and it's a bit silly to be honest. But I doubt there's anyone relying solely on this, so that's good. But you never know. There's a lot of,
I guess
I'm sure there's people out there that are doing it actually. Yeah.
It's not necessarily bad to have this as a resource, you know, to assist you. But you just don't rely on one resource, do you, when you are looking at an ICO or so? So as long as you're not doing that, then you're good in effect. But yeah, if you were just relying on this, then you know, beggars belief. Basically, anything could happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Like again, they threw C's pretty much everywhere. Like basically average.
Yeah.
There's a lot of what I personally think is shit coins like Verge.
Yeah.
Which are like C's, and then they're rated against other coins like I don't know.
Stratus.
Stratus is good.
Good,
like,
yeah.
It's got a good team. It's got a good use case. C. And then like they for example, this Skycoin got a C minus, which and so does Ubic. Again, and then you have coin like Litecoin has a C plus, and Bitcoin has a C plus. So
it's hard to gauge.
I can't piece it together.
It kind of feels like, you know, like teachers get a lot of marking to do and have to grade, and they look at their stack of sheets and they're just like, you know what, C, 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 kind of like you, B, C, 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 oh, I hate you, D. Like that's how it seems it's been done, you know. Just because of the vast majority of C's out there, and most of them don't seem to have been thought through properly.
Or maybe they're just gonna put the ratings high for the coins they're holding.
Yeah, exactly. They're saying they're unbiased, but we don't know. They could be holding the coins.
Or pump and dump type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
you never know.
Or they might just be trying to get their foot in as the go-to cryptocurrency ratings.
Yeah,
guys.
I think that's what they're trying to do. But again, like all jokes aside, it's a good little resource, I guess. Take into account. Again, with all these resources out there, take it with a pinch of salt.
Exactly. Including us, because we're not financial advisors.
Exactly. Everyone has their opinions, even if they like. There's gonna be bias, one way or another. That's a fact.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, independent, unbiased, accurate. Alright, bro.
Yeah, they're probably holding loads of Ethereum.
Yeah.
Like, if they are, they're going to be happy right now because Ethereum's doing quite well.
Amazing right now.
But yeah, in other news, the coincheck hack, a bunch of NEM. What was it? $530 million. Yeah. Was worth of NEM was stolen from the coincheck exchange. They said recently, coincheck came out and said they were going to refund the stolen NEM at the amount of I can't remember how much yen it was, but Japanese yen. But they're basically going to refund their customers or whoever's was stolen, which is quite good. You don't really hear that often from exchanges, and if they do refund people, usually it's at a really, really low rate. So that's good, I suppose, but it doesn't stop the fact that security needs to be improved. Like I was mentioning earlier to the guys about that the cryptocurrency exchanges should have as much security as banks or more, to be honest, because they're targets at the moment. You know, there's a lot of money in it. If you can hack and can hack well, you're gonna have to give it a go. You know, it's worth a lot. You know, especially if you're struggling. Even if you're not struggling, like $530 million is like, if you can get your hands on it, if you got the skills, why not? You know, that's what's going to be going through someone's head who's obviously not moral. You know, if you're not a moral person, you don't mind stealing from other people, you're gonna do it, aren't you? So, yeah, that's the situation of that.
Yeah, I think we, as the general population, kind of forget that criminals aren't just, you know, sitting there bored and go, might as well just steal everybody's money, you know, why not? I guess some of them could be thinking that, but a lot of them are actually opportunists, and they say, you know what, I can see this thing, it's not necessarily regulated, so, you know, there's less controls, there's less security. It depends on, you know, the developer, and, you know, maybe the developer's been a bit slack because all they've cared about is marketing, and they're going to take advantage of such situations. And not to say that's all the examples of how they'll do it, but you know, the more opportunity you give them, you know, the more reason you give them to say, you know, pick me, and they're going to choose you. And yeah, it's a sad thing, but as Jeff said, it's good to see that you know, there is, you know, refunds taking place, and you know, you can tell that the ICO actually do care about the people that are investing in them. So I think it's really good of them.
Yeah, like, again, coincheck definitely did a good thing covering bases, but again, we said it earlier, like, this shouldn't happen. They really got to work on security, but there needs to be questions asked of the developers, because they need to understand that when people are holding a lot of value, a lot of money on these exchanges, they need security and they need that peace of mind. Paying back the customers who've lost that money is obviously a very good gesture, but what is to say they might not come back now? So there are questions there, but also it does, like, again, I know some of us hold a bit of NEM, but it does ask questions of NEM, because the reason being, and hear me out, is there's 500 million NEM what's just gone into like a thief's hands.
Yeah.
And usually, for example, say people who like rob people putting money into ATM machines. Like, if you try to break open the case, it taints the money. The money is destroyed. Like, you can't use it. A few cryptocurrencies are, like, for example, Tether. Like, again, all of business what's going on with Tether now. Tether, if some people stole some Tether,
it'd be tagged,
and it was tagged, and it was removed, like, because they know what Tether went, they can taint it and say you can't exchange, you can't change this. NEM don't have that in their system. They're working on it. And that's why NEM took a dive, and then when NEM said they're going to be working on it now, then it bounced back up. But a lot more ICOs should probably look into
doing that,
because the hackers are going to see where because they knew what they were going for. They, like, if they've gone into exchange, there's
so many choices they could go after.
Exactly. So it's just kind of like, well, if more ICOs had that tagging system, it's kind of like that added extra security. Just knowing that one day you might not lose, like, all your coins because hackers took it.
But I think that's the problem of the space not being regulated, because if you have a place anywhere else, something happens. Let's say the government notice that, you know, crime rates are going crazy in one area. Every single other area focuses on that type of thing. You know, it's like because it's centralized. It's kind of like a total reform will occur. Whereas obviously in the space, it's not necessarily the same thing. But I think that's what they should naturally just induct into their own ICOs. Each ICO should say to themselves, well, we see this happening over here, we don't want this to happen to us, because it's like a business, like you don't want it to happen to us. What are we going to do to improve that? And I guess it's something you might be working on, something that you might be having future developments for, but I think a sort of reform in terms of security needs to be at the forefront of everybody's minds across the space.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? A lot of people, when you think about a hacker, you're thinking about one guy, maybe in his room wearing a hoodie, but it might not be one guy. It might be a whole team of people. It might be a government institution somewhere, could in some sort of country that's just trying to get money, and they put their computers together, brought out their best hackers, and decided to get some money. Like, it's not necessarily just one guy. It could be, you never know, because there are some really, really clever people out there that could do that, but it's not necessarily that. And so it basically broadens the spectrum of danger, and that increases the reason to increase security. So that's just that, really. But yeah, moving on. We're always talking about looking into a coin and stuff, and telling you guys, you know what, it'd be a good idea for you to look into a coin properly and do your research and blah blah blah. And one of the key things we always say is, read the white paper. But we noticed that we don't actually say what do you look for in the white paper, and that can be very difficult, especially if you're not a techie or you're not good at looking into companies and things like that, and you're brand new to this, really. So yeah, we've got some stuff. I think Andy's got some stuff to tell you guys about what you could kind of look for when looking in a white paper.
The key thing I want to start off with is people should understand what exactly a white paper is, and it's the company or ICO or currency. It's their way of selling themselves to you, to the investor, and this is like it's literally about them. It's like, invest in us. That's what a white paper is. Now, this is kind of like the first contact between you and them. And
it's almost like a CV.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect example. And so they want to put their best foot forward. And if they're not putting their best foot forward, you should be spotting the signs, and you should be asking questions. And when you're going through these white papers, you should be looking for, like, again, I'm going to share some pointers, and so we've got like guys too, if they I'm sure you guys got plenty, that you should be looking for when you're reading these white papers, because after a while, when you read a few white papers, you'll see similarities and you'll see things that, they've missed out this really important point. Well, basically, first off, in terms of white papers, is like they have to inform the public of the project itself, like what it's about. Honestly, they should keep it simple. Like, it should be like a small description, and then they can go more into detail. Because a lot of people who are reading these white papers, they're not necessarily technical. They're investors. They don't need to know about all of the numbers. They need to know about the important
concepts, how it works.
Exactly. So, like, again, like, some people, some ICOs, some white papers, they might bloat you with information. Like, again, whether that's good or bad or not, but it does turn people away. So maybe that's just kind of it's kind of a bad way to approach it, personally. But that's why we do always say read the white papers. But again, like, a lot of people, not a lot of people, I would like to think not a lot of people, but some people, they just invest in ICOs or currencies just from word of mouth from their friends. Again, you might see something what would throw like a few red flags. Maybe you might not want to be putting in your savings into this. Anyway, what they actually want to accomplish. So usually, they like what their aims are, what their end goals are. They all businesses have to have like a vision in sight in terms of what they want to do. How will the world change to their business project, ICO currency? They have to say like why they believe in their product and why they believe is needed. So how much is going to benefit you, the consumer, maybe whatever service they're in. So maybe it's an energy. How it's going to reduce the amount spent on energy by a certain percentage. Like these are things what need to be shared. Again, in terms of like what they believe in terms of like, the future, it's usually mapped in something what's called a roadmap, which is a timeline of milestones they want to reach and when.
Yeah.
So you as an investor, it's kind of like their promise to you that by the third quarter of 2018 we're gonna do A, B, C. And then the fourth quarter of 2018 that we're gonna do A, B, C. If they don't hit those goals, then there's problems.
Yeah.
Maybe there's questions that need to be asked as a team. Again, you're the boss here, and if you're investing in them, you've got to be asked the questions. A lot of new ICOs, what they tend to do is they just bring out roadmaps.
Yeah.
And these are just dreams. They're just selling you dreams.
True.
Literally, they're just like they're just saying, okay, well.
They can literally say absolutely anything. Yeah.
Pumping you full of information that's not even achievable.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then you obviously the way they want to hit their goals. How they're gonna do it? How much money they're gonna put in their teams? So they're building so much money from ICOs.
Yeah. How
How much percentage are they gonna put in their development team to actually build it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Again, these are key things to look for. If it's a project that will hold an ICO, you need to also find out how they will distribute the tokens when they're created.
Yeah.
So, how much money is being given to the actual partners, developers, the team? How much is getting released the initial release?
Yeah.
Again, if it's an ICO, pretty important. Now, obviously, there's a few signs we know what we kind of spot and we're like, when we read a white paper.
Yeah.
And first things first is obviously spelling.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Like, it's got to come from the point of view, like, again, like, I'm going to bring up the CV point of view again. You're trying to sell yourself. You're supposed to, like, show everything you got. And, like, how are you going to go in there with bad grammar, bad spelling?
Yeah. Got to think about it. If they mess up their spelling, then they're likely to mess up their code. And so they'll just get hacked and then you're upset.
You got to ask questions.
Yeah.
Like, if they're leaving out important information.
Yeah.
Like, again, this is very dependent on what the ICO is or the currency. But I don't know if they're not sharing the transaction time of like, again, this is really important. I hope that most do share all I've read so far. But again, if they got their transaction times, share it. If they're not leaving, if they've left it out, again, just be like, whoa, like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Again, if there's an actual use case, are they just making something out of thin air and making a problem and being like,
solving a problem that's not a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. They're basically making their own little dream happen.
Yeah.
It's not really gonna help. It's not gonna help people. It's not gonna help happen too much. Again, this has been happening a lot lately. The whole let me borrow your work and let me just change it.
Yeah.
If a white paper has been copied.
Yeah.
And it's just changed a bit.
That's a huge red flag.
Yeah, because if again, you already know what I'm gonna say, but it's kind of like if you're putting all your time and effort into this ICO, but you haven't got time to sell the white paper well, do it well. You got to copy someone else's.
One thing I was mentioning earlier to the guys is one tactic I learned on Reddit to check whether a white paper's been plagiarized is you can. A lot of people who, a lot of unis or a lot of colleges and stuff, use Turnitin or apps like that, and they just basically copy and paste the white paper into there and see how much percentage of it's been plagiarized, and you can use that. And if over a certain percentage has been plagiarized, then you can basically have you know it's been copied or whatever, and you know it's probably not worth your time. But then knowing the difference between the original and the copy, that's where it comes into. But you can try and figure out which one was made first, and go through it and stuff. Yeah, but go on.
And the last point is, again, one we always laugh out about a lot, and it's lots of unnecessary jargon.
Yeah, definitely.
Just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Let's look as smart as possible, saying all these crazy words.
Literally using the thesaurus on words,
Yeah.
like for every single word.
Like, there's no need. You need, like, again, they need to understand that the people investing aren't necessarily completely technical. I think part of them do it as it's like a facade.
Definitely.
So yeah, for me they're red flags.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that you mentioned is like leaving out sections. One red flag. I read one white paper, and on it didn't have a single section about the security. Not
Wow.
one section about security, and I was looking for it and I was going through it. I was like, what? Then I put it on like the PDF viewer, and so I could check all the contents like really easily. Didn't search security, and the search bar didn't come up. I was just like, okay, well, I'm not looking into this anymore.
Yeah.
I think the only other thing I would really add to that is the fact that they might have items in their white paper that subliminally talks about the fact that they're actually centralized the whole time, and that's something you'll be going against. So, like, that's a flag, or they'll be like, oh yeah, we're totally decentralized, and then we're just linked with Halifax. Not to say that any white paper I've read actually said that, but that's the kind of point I'm trying to get across.
Yeah, like the philosophies of
Yeah.
the project. Yeah, you're 100%.
This is I feel like a lot of people might be listening to us thinking, oh, we're just one of those decentralization like guys that just wants to push, or we're just anarchists and whatnot. But I think the problem, with centralized coins or cryptocurrencies or ICOs is that there's a clear conflict of interest. If it's centralized, then these people can, like, what reason do you have to trust these people? They haven't proved, they're brand new. They haven't proved that they can earn your trust. And there's a huge conflict of interest. If they own loads of these coins, or if they centralized it, they could push things in their favor and against you in order to benefit. So that's just one of the red flags there. But if it's decentralized, then there's no need for you to trust. It makes it a lot easier to invest in a trustless system, and that's what this is all about, really. But I just wanted to get that clear, because a lot of people I talk to just feel like, when I talk to them about decentralization, I feel like they just think it's just because I'm an anarchist or something. But yeah.
No, we have actually talked about like the benefits of both decentralization and centralization before. So, there is a fair balance, but it's mainly, your ideals, or the reason why it's centralized or decentralized. That's key. And I think if you're looking to an ICO and you're looking for total decentralization, and they do have this kind of subliminal, or this kind of unclear way of kind of saying we are centralized, but we're just not telling you that directly, that's a flag, isn't it? But if they're honest and they're saying, look, it is centralized in this way, and this is the reason why potentially we're not going to give you, it's centralized because we're going to be the story of the security. You can question it. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? And it kind of gives you a bit more of a basis to actually say whether or not you actually want to invest.
Definitely. But yeah, is that everything we want to say on white papers, essentially? Yeah. I suppose we could go into more detail on it at some point. It's probably something we'll be looking to do with our Patreon, just helping people break down white papers and stuff. But anyway. So yeah, we each looked at a cryptocurrency ICO, and we just wanted to give our opinion on them. Some may be bad, some may be good. So yeah, which one were you looking at, Courtney?
So I was looking at a ICO called Lisk. It's quite new. It's been in the space from about May 16 or so. It looks pretty good, if I'm honest with you. It looked at it quite high level, and there's most likely little bits and bobs which are questionable. But if you were to think of it as like it's a network, basically, where decentralized blockchain applications, or DApps, can actually be built on top of it.
So like Ethereum.
It kind of like Ethereum, but it's got a slight difference in terms of like Ethereum. You'll build, apps on it using like languages like Solidity, and then you would kind of there'll be hard forks off for that particular app, or that ICO, whatever will be created from it. Whereas with Lisk, it actually has its main blockchain, the Lisk blockchain, but then there's actually loads of side chains that actually can be built.
Oh, okay.
And then you'll have basically JavaScript based applications built on that using their SDK.
Okay.
It's quite good. They tote that the API is actually really powerful, the Lisk API. So it's actually, apparently quite good. Naturally, for the developers that are listening in, you might be worried about JavaScript and the use of JavaScript, and it's not the best potentially, or it might have its limitations. And according to Lisk, they're actually working on that quite extensively. So again, in terms of their kind of objectives, etc., it look quite good. They're trying to just provide a decentralized place for you to actually build apps, which they're in their words, they don't like the fact that you got the App Store or you've got Google's Play Store that are centralized, and they have ultimately the control of what gets put through, etc., etc. So they're not really trying to even control the whole market though. They are suggesting that other ICOs can do exactly what they're doing, but they just want to provide something where people can come and build JavaScript kind of applications.
So that would make it like easier for developers to build on, because JavaScript is kind of like a very common language out there, and the fact that you can build sidechains as well, I'm sure that will be appealing to like companies who want to build their own networks.
Yeah, and they're saying that new ICOs that are built on top of it. For instance, they can use their tokens, they can use their own token. You can pretty much start your own ICO on there from the ground up, and build up whatever you want. In effect, there's no real limitation in terms of what you can build. It's up to you as a developer. So again, I think it's quite cool. They do use a delegated proof of stake, which is not straight proof of stake, and it's most likely a better video. Well, another video should be created for going into all of that. And I think the few highlights is that they're suggesting that the front end can be accessed decentrally. In effect, if you can coin the word decentrally, or so, but which is apparently quite a unique kind of thing in the blockchain industry. I guess you would kind of go to a kind of central store of wherever the front end is.
Yeah, usually it's stored on a front end. The front end's usually stored on a centralized server. So that's quite cool that it's decentralized. Yeah.
And finally, they're kind of when it comes to like marketing. Because they've got like a roadmap, they want to provide certain things over a period of time, and a lot of the things they're trying to provide isn't going to be something they can do tomorrow or next week. So it's a case of they're trying to suggest that when it comes to marketing, they will stage it for certain things that they're trying to release, and not go crazy going, get involved now, it's amazing now, get involved now, you earn loads of money now, because naturally they don't want to encourage pump and dumps. So yeah, in a whole, I think it's like a good idea. It looks like it's something that could be really, really promising, especially as they continue to develop and get better. And yeah, that was my one.
So yeah, I was looking at Nebulous. Did a video on it quickly. You guys might have watched it, you may not have. But basically what it is like a search engine that allows you to find decentralized apps, and it ranks them as well in order of based on things like its propagation, how useful it is, how liquid it is, how many users it has, how many high quality users it has. It uses a protocol called proof of devotion, which is very similar to proof of importance, where you have to stake and at the same time have high quality transactions and high quality interactions on the chain in order to become a bookkeeper, which is what they call their miners. And as a bookkeeper, you regulate you regulate obviously transactions, and also which the voting system, the ranking system for how decentralized apps get ranked on its ranking system. It's quite cool. it's basically like the Play Store for decentralized apps. It will have like sections. It has a good security system, and it has a good basically it has a protocol in place for stopping people from cheating, you know, and getting their, basically they could like DDoS their own websites and have high ranking on there, and then obviously have more mining power. But because it has to be high quality interactions, they had a whole equation written out, which I didn't really understand that much, I'm not gonna lie. But when it was broken down in terms of the way they explained it on the in the white paper, it seemed quite cool. I was gonna get Courtney to look at it, to be honest, because he's the mathematician. But yeah, it seems quite cool. It's a good idea. They seem to be the only people doing it, which makes it quite unique. BitClave does something similar, but it's not as broad as like decentralized apps, like looking for all decentralized apps. So it's quite good. It's made by the same team that created Neo, and it's based in China, which comes with pros and cons. But yeah, the guys that started Neo are working on it at the moment. It's a good, strong team. There's some other guys that worked on other good projects working on it as well. It's built on top of Ethereum. They have their own native token as well, and it looks quite promising. I want to see how it develops. Yeah, so that was what I was looking at.
I didn't know that Nebula was built on Ethereum, but
yeah,
by the Neo team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough, though.
Well, he did mention that they respect Ethereum and they want to replicate what Ethereum has done in the space, in terms of their own. So basically they're saying if Ethereum's like Windows, then they want to be like the Google.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, that's what they
fully respect that though.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really good in terms of like it's good collaboration.
Exactly.
As well. Why not use the best and then build on it?
Exactly. Yeah.
No, it's good. That's really good. Yeah.
So yeah, which one?
Yeah. So I've been looking at Stellar. Like Stellar's a ICO which I like a lot. Just for the fact that it's the main competitor of Ripple. Again, Ripple and Stellar are two basically instant transaction ICOs, and we're talking about maybe 2 to 5 seconds in ideal situations. They're actually made. The co-founder is made by the same people who made Ripple. McCaleb. He decided that Ripple was not the way to go in terms of this whole centralizations, in terms of like the small banks and then making it grow from there. What he thought was the best thing to do was he was going to make Stellar, which he made in around mid 2014. So it's been around in the game. Yeah. And he said that he was going to go make Stellar grow through developing countries. Again, like I like the philosophy. Exactly. It's good. He co-founded it with one of the CEOs of Stripe, Patrick Collison, and like there's works that the same Stripe would have just stopped doing Bitcoin.
They picked up Stellar.
They're gonna do that. In terms of Stellar itself, it's like its network is solving a real big problem in terms of an easy movement of money in time and cost efficient manner. Again, we've talked about the fact that McCaleb, he has experience in Ripple, and he was also part of the Mt. Gox.
That comes with pros and cons.
Exactly. Backing of Stripe, which is Stripe again, big name. And then the companies like Dualite actually use them. In terms of their cons, Ripple is much bigger in terms of like, let's say, market cap. Or just like it's 20 times bigger. From this infograph is since June. So it's a while back. But I know that Stellar's caught up lately.
The gap is closing between them.
Definitely, and no, that's good. Like, it's good to see because again, like in terms of a lot of Ripple's holdings are in their main circle in centralization. Whereas one of the things that Caleb actually decided was pushing changing that. Again, I don't have the exact numbers because again, you guys know I was getting different numbers everywhere. But the one I seem to be find is around 5%. Yeah, 5%. It covers the operational costs of Stellar. What it actually does is it's pretty unique in the sense that they supply they will increase the supply of lumens by 1% every year. Lumens collected as fees would also be ploughed back into the network. So that's their way to combat inflation.
Yeah.
Which is a little unique concept.
Yeah.
But yeah. Stellar.
Cool. So it seems like we've all found decent ones. I was hoping we had one that we could just rip to shreds, but unfortunately we all found pretty decent ones. I suppose we just ignored the crappy ones. But yeah, I think that's it for today's podcast. Yeah, it's been a great week. It's been a great month so far. We're nearly at the end of the first month of 2018, and it's already been action packed. There's already been a crash or whatever, and there's news every day. But we expect this from the cryptocurrency market. It's developing. It's new, and there's gonna be like developments every week. There's gonna be new stuff every week, which is good for us because then we can talk to you guys about it. We have loads of things we want to talk about. We just don't have the time most of the time. So yeah. Yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys later.
All right, take care, guys.
See you guys next week.